Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take, episode 283. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined, as always, by my co-host, Montrell Rice. Montrell, how are you this week?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing fine. just a little tired. Work's dragging. I don't know. Gaming isn't doing it for me right now either. I'm just we'll get into that, I guess, in what we're playing. But it's like I don't know. I'm just kind of in like a malaise right now. It's like how that happens does that happen to you every once in a while where you're just kind of
Yeah, I'm in it right now. That's what I'm just playing League of Legends right now.
oh man, this is gonna be a high energy episode, everybody. But so yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, anything going on in life you want to talk about?
Nah,
You
I
just
don't
want to
really.
jump in. You just want to jump
Yeah, I
in the
just want
show.
to jump in. I want to start this pod with negativity. So let's just.
Negativity. All right, fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. We do that plenty every week. So I did want to talk to you though before this is kind of gaming adjacent, I guess I'll say. Did you see the news with Logitech? Their one of their employees was on a podcast and talked about they're working on a what they call a forever mouse, and they mentioned that this isn't a product they're launching or anything like that. Like they're not planning on launching this, but they're thinking about it. They're playing around with the idea of a mouse that would last forever and that you would pay a subscription to use. And this definitely took off after he said that. But what do you think of this idea? Like, because it just feels like subscriptions are permeating into everything that we do. Like there are fucking HP has like a printer subscription, dude. You
Yeah,
and
they got rid of that too, by the way. I
oh,
mean,
already.
yeah, they did
Oh,
get rid
did
of
they?
it.
Okay, yeah, because there was like
Yeah,
a limit on the number of pages you could print and shit.
yeah.
I'm assuming that you didn't buy the printer. I'm gonna guess, but
I think you
maybe.
do buy the printer.
Oh yeah, see that's fucking insane, dude. Like if it's a subscription where you don't actually buy the item in question, you just pay the subscription every month. I can understand that, but if you're making me buy the thing and then you're charging me a subscription on top of that, like fucking, that's insane. And then I mean, there was cars like BMW. I think famously, like they were trying to charge a subscription for like heated seats and shit in their cars. Like,
That's so stupid. Yeah, I remember that. That was a while ago. We
uh,
talked about that. Yeah.
so yeah, man, you want to pay a subscription for your mouse? You only get a certain number of clicks per day.
No, I don't know, man. I feel like this whole you will rent everything and be happy is
Yeah.
going a little bit too far. I mean, first it's like starting with the houses and stuff like that. These corporations are buying, all these houses, and now it's moving on to obviously physical media. We don't really own that anymore. Now it's actually moving on to physical devices. I don't know, are these companies starving for money, or are they just being greedy? Like
No,
I genuinely don't know anymore at
dude,
this point.
I've said this on the show a number of times, right? Capitalism right now, especially I'll say in the United States specifically because that's where I live and what I know is that we are at a interesting inflection point where I feel like capitalism has been pushed um, as far as it reasonably can be before you start like getting into really gross shit, and we're starting to break over that horizon into the really gross shit because again, there's only so many levers that companies can pull to save money and increase cost, like increase revenue, right, without just blatantly charging customers more or coming up with bullshit like this in order to make more money, make money in a way that is cheaper for them, you know um, because yeah, selling a forever mouse is great for Logitech, right? They only have to make one mouse per person, and then they infinitely make money off you every month forever, and they never have to make another mouse. It's like, so yeah, of course you're cutting down on manufacturing costs and all this fucking shit. It's like, yeah, of course they would want to do shit like that, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
that minimizes cost to almost as far as it can possibly go, in that situation. So yeah, of course companies are going to explore shit like this. It's just
Well,
I don't know. Yeah,
it
go ahead.
almost gives cadence to. I watched an old YouTube video with my wife, and I forgot the YouTuber's name. Forgive me, but he was talking about products, and he's specifically talking about products in like the 50s and 60s, or the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Probably like during the golden age of like America and like the the birth of not the birth of capitalism, but like the golden age of capitalism was kind of regulated, but
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I mean, you always heard the term like old shit, like stuff back in the day lasts longer. And he's like, there's actually a reason they did that for stuff to not last as long, so they can sell us more products and stuff
Right.
like that.
Planned
Because
obsolescence.
there, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, this is exactly what that kind of proves. It proves that these companies can make a really durable mouse that can last literally forever.
Of course they could. Of course they could. Like, I mean, like we have the technology to do all sorts of shit. The blocker is how do you make money on it? That's always the blocker. That's been the blocker, and it's so because we don't live in an altruistic society, right? Like the driving force is making money, in that is the driving factor for everybody, you know. So it's
Well, it's almost like I know this is a fucking was it economics or podcast or whatever the fuck, but it's
yeah,
almost like I mean it is bleeding to everything that we do. Like it's even bleeding into obviously video games where you have subscription models for
right.
certain games. I mean, well, Montrell, fucking MMOs have subscription models. I was like, yeah, they do have subscription models for MMOs, but that's a constantly changing, persistent world that needs,
Right.
everlasting touch ups and stuff like that. Um, even Xbox Live and PSN, you can make an argument for, right? Nintendo Online, you can't make an argument for that shit. I'm sorry, y'all. That's just ass. But um,
I don't know. I
as
don't
far
think
as
that's. I don't even think that's necessarily true. Like
well, it's
they
only
have a lot of.
$5, right? Yeah, it's only
Yeah, it's
$5.
literally $20 a year still. Like
Yeah,
it's so cheap that I mean, there's a value proposition to it.
yeah, yeah, and you get the Switch online, you get the games and stuff
You get
like that. So
you get the old games, you know, retro games.
yeah, so it's like I can see one aspect of it, but then I can see the other aspect of it where we get stuff like this, and it's almost like you ever saw a movie called Repo Man? I think that was just
No,
called.
I've heard of it though.
Okay, yeah. The premise of Repo Man was we have life changing technology organs or whatever. So
Mm.
if you have a bad heart or a bad lung or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
we have the technology now in that movie to swap it out for our artificial organ that acts as your own organ or whatever. But
Yeah.
the caveat is these organs cost $250,000, $300,000, and you can take out like a payment plan for it or whatever, and your life would be saved. But
Yeah.
if you miss a payment or whatever, then the repo man comes and they literally take your organ out, take the
Oh
organ,
my
they take
god.
you back to the hospital and they take the organ out of you. And
Yeah.
then there's like uh in the movie it goes a little far where it's like there's a whole society of people that just ran off into like the depths of like whatever the back alleys of like certain cities and stuff like that where uh you can go over there. Like some people, some repo man, quote unquote repo man, will go there if they're having like a bad month or whatever, and then just like harvest those people and get the organs back. It's not as much money, but you can do that. So it's like I'm almost like I thought that was like far fetched and beyond crazy at that point when I watched that movie. And that was like 10 years ago or whatever. When I watched that movie.
Yeah.
Now I'm scared because I'm like, this shit could actually be a reality. We can
Totally,
actually
dude.
have, yeah, like someone can make a really cool invention, like, oh, I made the artificial heart where enlarged hearts aren't a thing anymore, whatever the case may be. And now, or they can make nanotechnology for people who are have some kind of type of leukemia or HIV or something like that, right? And the nanos can fight it. And it's like, well, yeah, we can give you those nanobites, but it's $300,000, and if you can't pay it, then we can also take them out of you or just deactivate them on a drop of a dime. And
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know. I feel like that's what the Forever Mouse is like leading towards, and all these other
Yeah.
products that are like kind of doing that shit. Because I mean, the Forever Mouse isn't the only one, like you said, the BMW car, and then it was something else. Like I think I think a stove or a microwave or something, or a
Yeah, there
refrigerator, I
was the
think.
printers. There was an appliance I think that did something like it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I can see a reality where we're paying for air at some point,
Oh my god.
like breathable air.
Well, we already paid for water, so yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, can you imagine? Can you imagine that we like ruin the planet, right? And it's not like safe outside. You know, like you can't like just stay outside all day. It's like not.
Yeah.
It's polluted enough, or the air is not clean enough for us to breathe over long periods of time. I can imagine a world where like that happens and you have to pay for clean air in your house.
That's
Otherwise
so
you
fucking
die.
crazy.
I
That's
I mean, what?
scary.
Nothing. I can't put anything past these companies, dude. They're willing to go to any length to make maximum dollar. And I was mentioning earlier, our society is not like an altruistic society. Everything revolves around money. Imagine a world where that wasn't true. Like where can you even imagine like what a world looks like or our country looks like where your society doesn't revolve around making as much money as fucking possible. It's like there are
Star Trek.
societies on this planet that aren't like that, but they're usually dictatorships in some
Yeah.
way. Like they're not
Uh,
actually a society that's like, harmonized and working together and actually trying to like culturally advance humanity. It's like, dude, we could be on Mars, we could be in other parts of this fucking, in other parts of the solar system if we really wanted to be as a human race, but we're not. We're obsessed with exploiting each other and
yeah. I
having
mean,
power over one another.
it's funny you mention that because that's literally what like Star Trek is.
Yeah.
They made it to the point where they have cultivate a society where money isn't a thing. It's just all for one and one for all, or not all for one, but like all of us are in it together. Um,
Yeah.
they have jobs and stuff like that, but it's not for monetary gain. It's like where you test that and then where you go into or where you slot into or whatever. Um, but it's funny that if you go through the history of Star Trek, they kind of went through this almost the same timeline. And
Hmm.
it's kind of fucking funny because they had like a eugenics war or some shit like that that
Yeah.
fucked up the planet or some shit like that before they got to where the next generation and like
Right.
the original Star Trek trilogy or the original Star Trek show is. So they went through a whole bunch of shit before they actually got to that point where it's just like, all right, guys, maybe we should just work
Right.
together. But yeah, like it's almost like will we ever get there? But then you have other things where it's like you have other futures, right? Where it's like, oh, we can go into the Mass Effect timeline, where it's like, obviously we don't find a fucking Mass Effect, but it's like, um, they're still ran by corporations and shit like that, and it's like ultra fucking oligarchy type,
Yeah.
uh, you know, universe where corporations still run things and everything like that. They run whole planets and everything like that and all that shit like that. I mean, we already have company towns, so I, I don't know, man. Like, uh, I think I don't even think the next world war is going to be a country war. I think it's going to be like a corporation against a
Class
corporation.
war.
Yeah, I
Because
think
I
I
mean,
I think it's going to be two corporations going at each other. That's what I
oh
think.
no, I think I don't know. Because dude, the wealth gap is larger than it's ever been. And
Yeah.
that's not changing anytime soon. It's widening, every year. And what's the limit? Like, what is the point where the common person, gets fed up enough, or enough of the common people get fed up enough where they rise up in some way because of the wealth divide? Dude, I mean, it's happened in history before, and it's like, I know we think of ourselves as lazy and fucking, apathetic and shit, and I definitely fall under that category, but there are plenty of people, especially in the United States, who are currently militant as fuck, and I just
Mhm.
think I don't know, these tensions are rising, and I don't know, man. We might not see it in our lifetime, but eventually I feel like it's going to hit a breaking point unless something drastic changes where wealth is some kind of breakthrough in wealth happens where the lower classes actually get a lot of money from something, and have the
Yeah.
opportunity to get a lot of money from something again. Because you remember things like the Manifest Destiny back in the day with the gold rush and all that stuff. Like, dude, there's nothing like that really. There's just not a lot of things like that anymore. I guess crypto mining is kind of like
Yeah,
was kind
crypto
of like that
mining
for a few
was that
years,
for a
but
minute. Then it
it's
got too
already over,
expensive.
dude.
Yeah,
Well,
it
yeah,
got
it's
too
already
expensive.
over. It was a hot minute, like it was a flash in the pan. And the fucked up part about it is corporations were able to do it too, you know, and
Yep.
they were able to do it to way more effective degree than any individual obviously could. Um, so you know, even for shit like that, it's like there's just no you can't compete with them necessarily. You might be able to take your piece of the pie, but it's like it's not exclusive to the lower class, you know, necessarily. So it's just I don't know. Yeah, we're getting way off topic here, you
Yeah.
know, from the mouse subscription. But I do feel like this is where these kind of things lead, you know, because this is a terrible idea. I'm sorry, I don't want to pay a subscription for my fucking mouse or my keyboard or my fucking monitors or my headphones. Like, get the fuck out of my life. Okay, stop trying to extract money from me in every possible fucking way. You know.
Well, the problem is I don't think we have enough. Like, I mean, I'm gonna say it. I don't think we have enough regulation. Like, I know people hate that, hate the
Yeah.
government, and I understand it. But at some point, like younger people, like people our age, have to get into office, and
Yeah.
we have to.
Well, not
Re-
become corrupted because they're in on it right now. The government's in on
exactly,
it right now. So
exactly. So it's like I don't know where that, like I said, where that inflection point is, and it's actually affecting every part of our lives. Like we can't even turn on a video game without a fucking ad popping up,
hmm
or some kind of
yeah,
sponsorship deal or something like that, or
right.
some kind of subscription. Buy this microtransaction, buy that, and it's like I just want to play the fuck. It's rare where you can just turn on the game and you not get bombarded with like, oh, hey, you got the deluxe, super deluxe edition of this game, and it's like, or upgrade to the super deluxe edition. Even on single player games, even on JRPG games, they do that where they want you to upgrade to the deluxe version of Persona or whatever the fuck it is, or
Right.
so it's
Right.
like, I don't know. I mean, they're trying to extract money out of us, and something's trying to extract money out of them. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a dog eat dog type situation where, unfortunately, it leads to shit like Logitech making a forever mouse and making us have a subscription to it. And I I think it's a bad idea, but I think the biggest culprit is unfortunately the people as well. Because a lot of people buy into this shit. Like
hmm
they buy into the.
Right.
I mean, look how many people got that ugly ass Cybertruck. You know what I'm saying? Like people buy
Oh
into
my
that shit,
god. Yeah, man.
and like it's marketing itself as the American car, but it was made by a South African. I mean, Elon Musk is South African. He's not
Right.
American. Like so it's like I don't
I mean,
I don't. Under,
the
I
company
mean,
was founded in America, so
yeah, yeah. I guess you can. I guess
it
you
is
can
an
say that.
American corporation
Yeah. So,
technically, but
um, I don't know. People attribute that to Elon Musk, so that's where I get those things going. And I don't know. People just the whole AI thing. You have AI tech bros who are like, "Oh, this is the future. And this is cool." It's like literally destroying algorithms. It's literally destroying the search algorithm on the internet. Google is damn near useless now because of a fucking AI that it's like they even had an article um on it where they're like they may have to turn it off because it's literally fucking up their searches now. Like the
well,
Google's not.
it's like fundamentally fucked up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it has a bias or something, and like they need to like start over from scratch with it, which is funny as hell.
yeah, and it's
So
like I don't know. I'm all cool for technology and all this other stuff and everything like that, innovation, and I understand capitalism kind of breeds that, but at the same time, capitalism also bleeds people dry if not regulated. And I think people harp back to the golden age of the United States of America in particular, uh, as far as like economics and stuff like that, where like the 40s or after World War II, post World War II, the 50s and the parts of the 60s. I'll just say the 50s though. The 50s in general, um, all that shit was regulated. Like it was very regulated, where they're like, we don't want to go through the Great Depression anymore, so we are going to stop this from happening and this from happening. But I guess over time, people forgot about the Great Depression, um,
yeah,
and now we have things getting uncapped and everything. I think a cycle is gonna repeat itself, unfortunately. So We gotta buckle up, lads.
Buckle up. All right, well, let's jump into the rest of the show here, Montrell. For those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games, and sometimes topics not pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will answer it on the show. All right, Montreal, let's start with what we've been playing. I'll go first this week. It sounds like neither of us really have much to talk about here.
Yeah, we can keep it short.
Playing the same games. Been playing League. I think you've been playing more than me for sure, but I've been playing a pretty good amount too. Anything you want to say about League? How you feeling about it?
I not too much. Actually, I haven't been playing it as much as you, unfortunately. I've been playing it like I played it yesterday. I didn't play the day before yesterday at all. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think this new patch that just came out, I got to fill it out a little bit more. Silas feels okay. I actually like this. I actually like this version of Silas that's out now.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's the more fun version of him that I like. The reason I fell in love with the character before, which is the Bruiser version of Silas, where I can do multiple casts in a team fight instead of just doing 2 or 3 hits and then I gotta leave because I'm not as durable or whatever the case may be. And I actually like this his Bruiser style that they did. I think they need to buff a little bit of things. I think his auto attack damage just needs to be buffed a little bit, just so I can last it a little bit more effectively. But besides that, I think I also think they toned down the ADCs, but unfortunately, Draven and Misfortune are the meta now. Like those are the guys to pick. Unfortunately, and Jin is another one because he doesn't really get affected by Kraken Slayer. So Jin, I did play with the Varus. I don't know if the Varus is just bad or not. I can't really tell. I'll be interested in seeing how you play with them.
I'm gonna try him out for sure. He pretty much
he got buffed. The
way I build him, he got buffed for sure.
Okay. Yeah, because the items that I know are his standard build, which is Kraken Slayers in that one, got demolished.
I didn't build that item. So
okay, yeah. So you should be okay then.
Yeah, and his passive got a buff too. Like it was not an insignificant one either. So
yeah, so
we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think I'm still okay with the meta for right now. I honestly think I know Jet just posted a video about ADCs. I honestly think though the meta revolving around ADCs is more healthier than the meta revolving about anything else. I think every time they try to switch it up, at one time
the game becomes unbalanced.
Yeah, if they try to revolve around the jungler has too much power, then it is all up to the jungler. Obviously, the top laners and the tank. Everybody remember the tank meta. It's fucking terrible.
Well, they're fucking off. You don't even see them for the whole game, and then they start team fighting, and it's like the game fucking ends because you don't expect how powerful they are. Yeah, you can't kill them. So I don't know. I think I agree with you. I think ADCs were a little too powerful. But,
they definitely were.
But I do think the game should still probably revolve around them to a degree late game because that's the whole point of the role,
Yep.
I do think League has gotten way too obsessed with making sure that everybody scales, That is a significant problem with the design of League that I think I have with the game. It's because, again, I know, Dota doesn't work that way, dude. Like, not everybody scales. Like, generally speaking, you have your 3 cores, 1 in each lane. And usually the 1 and 2 are the hard scalers. 3 can be a scaler, but a lot of the time is kind of like a tank. That's kind of like a peeler that is kind of trying to sow chaos, draw the enemy's attention so that the 2 main carries can actually carry. That's kind of the purpose of the role. League does not play like that. Everybody scales. Everybody can be the fucking hero. Even the supports fucking scale. So that's my main issue with League is that concept is that they don't seem to like the idea of letting any player not be powerful late in the game, which is silly because that means everybody can burst everybody, and it's just like you really when you have the game like that, you end up having you end up having to balance everybody against everybody else when that's really not the way the game should be balanced.
Yeah, I feel like it really harkens on to the fact that we're talking about where everyone has a main character syndrome in the game.
Yes, they are
And
they are pushing that with the way they design the game.
exactly. Sure. Yeah, I personally don't like it. I already said some things they can do to get rid of it. Not even like just system changes, like on the surface level, like getting rid of the KD ratio. I still want to see my CS and my gold I acquire, but
Right.
I think getting rid of the KDA would dramatically improve player retention or player communication rather, because you don't know how many times the Kane died in jungle. All you know is you've seen his name a couple times or whatever the case may be until the end of the game. And then maybe in chat, I mean, I'm already leaving the lobby and going to the next game or whatever. So it's like, because I mean, we've said that, like, it's not only the main character syndrome, it's the, all right, I'm just going to sit back and let him carry as well, where people become really complacent. They don't want to play correctly because, oh, you're 10-1, there's no way we can lose. And it's like, yeah, there are 4 other players on the team that they
the game
can
is
eat
so
off.
bursty that nobody can really carry like that, because if they die, then the team loses.
Exactly.
You become too reliant on that one player. Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know. I think that's a systemic thing with League of Legends. I don't think we're going to see that change anytime soon unless someone comes in and drastically changes the game. And even then, something small like that, I think the player base would have an uproar. I don't know why, but I think they will have an uproar about it. They'll probably be saying like it's woke or whatever, like, oh, you're trying to do the snowflakes. It's like, no, it's literally because we can't handle a KDA. Like, we can't.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they should change it. I honestly, what I think they should change it to is get rid of KDA and show gold per minute, per minute.
Yeah,
because that's what's actually important. It's not the KDA, and like getting kills can contribute to a high gold per minute, but it's not necessarily the only way to get there. Yeah. And I think it would completely change player behavior. Like, it's a psychological thing. It totally is, dude. And I've always agreed with you on this. I don't think having KDA displayed benefits anybody in the game. And I think it's unfortunately it just creates this mentality where people, like we saw, that Ornn we had the other day. That guy was unbelievable, dude. Like, he was just antagonizing us. Literally wasn't fighting with us, and then he did fight with us, and he fought like a fucking idiot. Didn't actually tank anything. He was just chasing people around, like away from us, and then the rest of us got destroyed by their backliners came into our backline and fucking destroyed us. It's just like, and then he's like, oh man, better mid jungle bottom wins. It's like, oh, okay, dude. Like, if you played with the team, maybe we would have won. So it's just, I don't know. People like that are frustrating. Also, I need people to chill out. And I'm talking about our friend group too. People need to chill out with the idea that ADC players don't have skill. Like, nothing they do is ever ever credited to them. Like,
I know it's like,
I got all the you got all the kills because of the support. Oh, you got all the kills because of the gank. Oh, it's like, okay. It's like, I can't win,
joking,
dude.
But yeah, I understand.
Man, you saw Jet's comment in the chat, okay? Man.
Oh yeah. I saw that. I was just like,
give me a fucking break. I can't fucking win.
That's why I was laughing. I didn't really say anything because I think I actually agree with August, right? August in that video. I like I said before, I think the game should revolve around a carry in the game, a general carry.
Called the carry.
Yeah. And I actually agree with your take as well. I don't think everyone should scale. I think everyone should scale differently. And maybe someone scales better in utility. Maybe someone scales better in like map control or whatever the case may be, which is why I have a huge issue with Yuumi as a support. I played with the support, Yuumi support today. I wasn't ADC. I was mid lane, but I got ganked like 7 times. I was 0-7. I died like so many times in that game. It was actually insane. The skill difference sometime in the matchmaking is incredible. I got dived like I was in the LCS game and they were diving. Like, the Poppy pushed me into the tower, the Fizz popped me up with his ult, and then Garen came in, he ran in and ulted me, and I died. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, am I playing a diamond game or something? It was crazy. It's all in the tower, all in like 2 or 3 seconds. And then the next game I fucking dominated. So it's like I don't understand the matchmaking. I think they need to fix that. But anyway, I think Yumi is a really interesting champion because and I finally figured out the reason why I hate her. Not because she just sticks on to one champion. She literally doesn't make an impact on the game as far as what a support does in the game. At the end of that game with Yumi, even I see this with other Yumi players, I always have a better ward score than them, whether I'm mid lane or jungle, because they're sticking to their ADC. At least in lower elos, they are, because we're in bronze right now. And
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about this season, y'all. I cannot climb the gold or platinum this season for the life of me. But yeah, low elo Yumi players, which is why I kind of want to ban that character, not because it's overpowered, because people play stupidly with her. They're not warding at all, and that's why I hate that champion. And I think too, Poppy is just completely busted at this point. Like, she is one of the greatest champions in this game, like bar none.
Yeah.
She can do almost anything and negate almost anybody's kit with her dash negating thing that she does. It's actually insane. But anyway, yeah, that's why I don't really like Pop or not Poppy, but Yumi, because you're literally at a 4v5. When she's not tethered to anybody, she's a minion, a
Yeah.
glorified 300 gold minion.
Right.
She can't do anything,
Right.
and I don't know. I just think that's bad character design, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
besides
Yeah,
that,
and I
though,
mean, you're encouraged to stay tethered to somebody, so you're inherently not roaming the map, dewarding, warding, and all that.
exactly,
It's
because it's
actually
a huge risk for you because
yeah,
you have no kit. You know,
right. If you
like,
get caught, you're dead. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That almost it's kind of interesting now that you say that. I almost feel like I need to like more actively take advantage of that when we're playing against a Yumi player. Like, think about that more. It's like, yeah, take advantage. Like, go ward because they're not gonna ward. And if Yumi walks away, we should go fucking fight her.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like if she goes down into the river, we should just run the river because she ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah, because that's what
Um,
the Rakan on the other team. That's exactly what he did. He was in my lane all the time, and he went top lane because it was essentially 1v1 on the bot lane with Yumi tethered to that to my Ash, and I think they had like a misfortune or somebody.
yeah,
But yeah, like, yeah, it was Yumi. It was That's what it was, and he was just roaming the map, being a terror. And I'm like, this champion is really a disadvantage to the team. Like,
yeah,
if you can make it to late game and you have like a bruiser that heals and stuff like that, like a Udyr or a Aatrox or something like that, then she's useful. But like, other smart players can take advantage of that shit. And
right,
yeah, like, we just had no vision on the map. It was actually insane. And I'm not saying that the support everyone has to ward, right? But everyone was warding. She had the lowest ward score, and I noticed that consistently with Yumi players that they have really low ward scores. So
hmm
yeah, I mean, that champion is just not good in my opinion. I think that's legitimately one of the worst champions in League of Legends that they should either block or rework.
yeah,
I know they just had a skin line for her. I just don't give a fuck. Like, I think she should be worked or either blocked out the game, in my opinion, because she's just so useless. She's genuinely a losing thing to a team now, in my opinion.
hmm
So
yeah. Um, Other than League, I've been playing a little bit of TFT. I'm kind of hitting a wall here that I'm not really too eager to like jump over. Like, I don't feel like figuring this game's meta out, dude. I tried to play the other night like 3 games or so, and I just got steamrolled, dude. And I'm just like, it's so hard to understand what the fuck is going on, like without looking at guides and shit. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, so I don't know. I may be done with that. And then V Rising, I have not played at all since last week. I don't think. I think I'm just kind of done with this game. I don't really feel like playing it anymore. Like, I just hit my limit with it. It's just there's too much like I don't want to grind all the resources I need to grind. I don't feel like dealing with all the fucking, like, I want to build my castle. Like, that's kind of the thing I still want to do in the game, but I just don't want to go through the effort of having to get all the materials I need and grinding those down and combining shit and all that. And I don't know. I think I'm ready to move on. So I don't know. Right now, I'm kind of like, I'm between games. I'm not playing anything right now other than League. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm thinking of jumping into Cyberpunk, to be honest.
Oh,
Um,
that's actually a really good game to jump into, I think.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing really coming out imminently. Like we got Black Myth Wukong later in the month. That's like the only thing I'm thinking about coming up that I might play. So I don't know. I have time, and I have Phantom Liberty, so it's like I don't have to pay anything for the game. So I might do that finally and give this game a go. Because I mean, you know, everything I've heard about it now after the that patch last year before Phantom Liberty was, you know, it's just it sounds like the game's in a really great state now. So and plus, I don't know. I think I just kind of want a game like a story to immerse me, you know. And I want to kind of get like lost in a world, you know, or something like that. So yeah, I may end up jumping into that. But other than that, yeah, I've been watching a lot of the TV. I've been watching The Boys for the last week. I actually finished season 4 earlier today on my lunch break, so I'm all caught up with that. So I'm, you know, kind of now at the point where I'm like I'm done with that, and I just like I don't really have anything going on, so I'm like I need to pick something to play at this point. So yeah. Did you watch The Boys season 4 yet or no?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let me know when you do. We can talk about it on the pod. I'd be very interested to know your thoughts
Okay.
on it for sure. But it's finished. Like all the episodes are out now. So
Okay. Yeah. Now I can watch it. That's actually what I was waiting for. I was just waiting for
yeah,
the season to be finished.
yeah. No, I would rewatch the whole show. You know, while like I think episode 4 was out, I started like a month ago. I think. Might even been a month and a half ago, but yeah, episode 4 was out, and I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna run through the whole series, and then hopefully by the time I'm done with season 3, all the episodes will be out for season 4, and that ended up being the case. So I'm all caught up now. But so yeah, what else have you been playing, Montreal? Anything else you want to talk about?
I haven't really been playing anything. I have been watching Dragon Ball Z
Oh,
Kai.
wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I've been watching it. I just finished it today. I just finished the Frieza arc.
Mm,
I do recommend watching the show to people who haven't watched Dragon Ball Z in a while, especially the Kai version.
yeah.
I tried to watch the original version, and there's just way too much filler. The Kai version cuts out so much shit. It's
Yeah.
so refreshing. I got
Yeah.
through the Namek saga in like no joke, like a half a day, and I was just like, "Whoa, that's the end of the Namek saga. We're already on the Frieza's, the not the Namek saga. I'm sorry, the Saiyan saga, and we're already on to the Namek saga or whatever. The Namek saga is probably the longest one out of Kai. To be honest
Yeah.
with you,
Yeah.
um, but even then, uh, it was just so much little shit that I missed in the rewatching it. I remember there was like this whole thing, and I even agreed with it, right? That like Goku powers up out of nowhere. Um, and they even say in the show, like he nearly got killed by, obviously he trained with King Kai, and then he got wished
Mm,
back. And
mm,
then once he got wished back, he fought Vegeta. He nearly got killed. So he gets saying when Saiyans almost die in battle, they get a huge power boost. So he got a power boost then, and then he had to train for 6 days when he was traveling to Namek, and he was training under 100 times gravity, which is fucking crazy if you think about it, of
yeah.
Earth. And he was brushing that off by the time he got to Namek or whatever. So he's super powerful then. And then he almost had a near death experience again when Krillin, Gohan, and Vegeta had to beat him up because Ginyu took over his body. So
Mm,
then that was another power boost. So
yeah.
then when he fought Frieza, obviously he almost died, and he had the Saiyan rage because Krillin died or whatever. So then that was like all the ingredients, and on top of that, Vegeta throughout the entire thing was hinting at being a Super Saiyan, like all the way at the beginning of the Namek saga. And I didn't even realize he was saying all that shit. And I'm like, man, they've been hinting at this Super Saiyan for a while now,
Oh yeah.
and it finally happened or whatever. Also, Vegeta was a fucking menace on Namek. I forgot how
Oh,
much
I
of a menace
love
he
it.
was.
Oh, he's so awesome in Namek, dude. It's probably my favorite arc for him actually.
Yeah,
Because
he was
he's like
playing
a
this three-way
fucking yeah.
thing. Like it was almost Game of Thrones esque the shit that he was doing. I was like, man, he's killing the Mechians. He's still in Dragon Balls. He's fucking in Frieza. He's fucking with Krillin and Gohan.
Yep.
And he was like a genuine threat to almost everybody. It was kind of cool. I actually
Yeah.
liked his arc in there and his
Yeah,
character
no.
development too. in that arc as well. It's kind of crazy as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think I can I'm watching it again, and I was just like, I see why I fell in love with Dragon Ball Z. Like the tropes are there, but you just don't give a fuck because it's so
Mhm.
good. Like, it's so good. So after I
Yeah.
get done watching this, I'm gonna watch Super as well. Um Once I finish that, because yeah, they're from the guide I was looking at, like the Cell Saga is only like 14 episodes, I think 14 to 16 episodes, and then like the Majin Buu Saga is only like 20 episodes or some shit like that. So um
Yeah.
yeah, I do recommend Kai. I know like the music changed and it's gonna fuck with your nostalgic brain and everything. But I think it's worth it. The old series, the Toonami version of it, or the 4 Kids version, or whatever, had so much fucking filler. It's actually ridiculous, and that's the filler is the main reason why I can't watch Naruto anymore. If they made a Kai version of Naruto, that would be greatly appreciated because I really do want to rewatch Naruto. I want to rewatch the original series and Shippuden, but I would have to follow a guide to actually do that because there's
Mhm.
just we all know how much fucking filler Naruto has. So
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted them to almost like remake the series, which
yeah,
it's
so
probably never going to happen.
it's
But there's
interesting
just
in
so many
Kai.
episodes there's just so many fights that have terrible animation, dude. It sucks.
Yeah, it's interesting in Kai. They actually reanimate some scenes,
Yeah.
and it looks jarring because it's like you can tell when it's like a reanimated scene.
Yeah, it doesn't mesh with the old animation
Yeah,
necessarily. Yeah, that's why I would rather, like, if they do something similar for Naruto, just remake it to some degree. Like, I don't know. It's obviously that's a huge investment and it's probably not worth it, but
I think
um
it will because that'd make a lot. You know how much money they'll make off that? Like the
yeah,
re
like dude,
this.
like an Attack on Titan level quality animation for Naruto, like it's just like, oh god, I would kill for that. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean like a Juju Kaisen type
Yes.
animation
Oh
level.
my fucking god. Yeah, dude.
Um, I think it would be. I mean, they were like, "Oh, we'll watch Boruto," and it's like, I don't want to watch that shit.
No, fucking no, I don't know. Okay. Like I don't want to watch that show. Like I don't care. Like
Yeah, I just don't take that show seriously. I understand the manga is probably I try to read the manga, it's okay, but I just don't fucking care at the end of the day.
I've seen some of the fights in that show, okay? And it's just so stupid. The way they have to do the power scaling because Naruto and Sasuke are characters in the show. Like so they're obviously insanely powerful compared to the kids, that are in the fucking show. So it's just like I don't know. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah,
Just remake
it's just
Naruto.
yeah. I just think they should remake Naruto and Naruto Shippuden for sure.
Yeah.
But I do recommend watching Kai if anybody they're on the fence about rewatching Dragon Ball Z or anything like that. I do recommend watching Kai. I'm probably going to actually go back and watch the original Dragon Ball series because it's been fucking
Mhm.
forever since I watched the original Dragon Ball series
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
And just kind of skip the filler or whatever. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Fair enough.
It's been a nice ride just watching that and chilling out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, My Hero Academia season 7 is going right now, and I'm waiting for it to. I want to binge it, but I'm like, dude, there's another 8 weeks of episodes to go until they're done with this season. So I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, do I do? I could do the same thing I did with the boys, maybe, and like rewatch the show because I haven't, I haven't watched
No, you
I
don't
haven't
want to
watched the
rewatch
first few
that.
seasons in a while, but
You
it's
don't
just
want.
so long. It's like,
Yeah, man. I tried to rewatch My Hero. I actually just tried to watch it where I took off because I remember most of the shit in My Hero. The problem I have with My Hero is the monologues. Every punch is fucking monologue, bro. It's so fucking annoying.
yeah.
Um, yeah, bro, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but like they don't do just action. They have really good scenes. Um, but it's only like 2 or 3 minutes of really good scenes, and then the rest are just like Deku monologuing about shit. And it's just like,
Well,
bro,
I know
I
what
don't.
you mean because I remember the Stain fight in
Oh my
particular
god.
was a fight that I was really hyped for when it was getting foreshadowed on the show, and then it happens, and it's like Deku will like make a move, and then Stain will be like, "Oh wow, oh he's actually like really good," you know? It's like it's just like after every single move he makes, and it's just I know what you mean. So I don't know. I still love the show though. I don't know. I still
No,
think it's a great story. It's
it
just
gets you hype, but it's
the
also
pacing
like
is
the pacing is fucking terrible, bro.
yeah.
Like they I don't know. I understand that's a key staple of the show, but at this point, I personally can't watch it. I'm just gonna read it. I'm just gonna finish reading it, and I mean, because the manga's done, so uh, I'm just gonna finish reading it.
I don't know. I might watch it. I might rewatch it. I don't know. I'm in the mood for it. You know, it's yeah. So all right. Much. Let's move on to the news. We actually have a decent amount of news this week to talk about. First one being Randy Pitchford. Not so subtly hinted that the next Borderlands game may be getting announced soon. And there's a quote here from he did an interview with The Gamer, and a quote. So, oh man, I don't think I've done a good enough job of hiding the fact that we're working on something.
Oh
And
my
I think people
god!
that love Borderlands are going to be very excited about what we're working on. These are fuzzy words, but sooner rather than later, we're going to be talking about what we've been working on, and I can't wait. End quote. So clearly, I mean, there's an announcement coming soon. How soon? I don't know. I mean, Gamescom's coming up very soon here, so it could be there. But I mean, Borderlands 4, Montrell, does that get you jazzed up? Did you even play Borderlands 3?
No, I did not.
Or did I ruin it for you? Like
I
talking about it.
I think you ruined it for me because I was.
Good, that game sucks.
And I know after probably people like, we just play it yourself, and I'm like, I don't know. I came onto the Borderlands thing really late.
Mhm.
Anyway, I played Borderlands actually 2, I believe,
Yes.
when it came out, but
Which
I
I
didn't really have
do. I
any.
love that game.
I didn't have anybody to play with, so I liked the game, but I actually dropped it because I just didn't have anybody to play with it.
Well,
Play it with me or whatever.
look, I've always wanted to play that game with you guys. I'm always down, bro. Like
Yeah, it's an
anytime.
older game though. It's like 10 years old at this point
So
now.
fucking whatever, dude. It feels fine. Like
So I was hoping 3 really leaned into the builds of things, but from the gameplay, I just don't like the whole global cooldown thing. I think that's the real thing that pissed me off. I don't like the global cooldown. Like when you use an ability,
yeah.
everything's on a global cooldown, and I think that's very stupid. I don't like it.
Well, see, this is the thing. This is why I like Borderlands 2 still, because every character has one ability. That's it.
Yeah,
So everything revolves around that one ability, you know. And many characters have a way to reduce the cooldown of that ability or like refresh it, you know, certain things like that.
yeah,
And that's so I think Borderlands 2 just has better character design too. Like the characters that you play as are so much better in Borderlands 2 than they are in 3. The characters in Borderlands 3 are boring as fuck. Their abilities are boring. Their designs are fucking boring. Um, the way they play is fucking boring. Like it's just it. And I said this. You know, if you guys want to go back and listen to my thoughts on Borderlands 3, like it's a game. Montreal was saying you wanted them to lean into the build crafting aspect of the game. They did the opposite. I feel like where like the builds don't really matter that much. It's about the guns. You know.
yeah. And I remember you saying that like they did more so about the guns, which I think they totally or maybe they didn't misread the Borderlands community. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people do like the wacky guns, and I like the wacky guns too inside of Borderlands 2, but it was more so I like the builds. Like I used to play Zero a lot, so I had made me a build revolving around Zero and his sniper builds and stuff like his one shot. I had a one shot build that I had, um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I like the combination of like me building him in conjunction with me getting the perfect weapon for
Right.
that build.
Right.
And from what I understood, like they kind of just threw that out the window and just went for like, oh, you want more wacky guns? It's like, I guess so.
No, yeah, they I think they lost the plot personally because I think Borderlands 2 had a really nice balance of the character gameplay versus the gunplay, and I don't think the gunplay in Borderlands 2, like, it's not better than Borderlands 3. Like, Borderlands 3 has better gunplay for sure, but it didn't matter in my enjoyment factor of the game. Is like, this is kind of what happened with Fallout, like Fallout 4, right? Everybody was like, oh my god, it's got such great gunplay, and it's like, make it a better game though. It's like, not really. It's like it's like that game like lost its RPG-ness, when it became a better shooter, and I feel like Borderlands 3 was the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but offer stands. Borderlands 2, you want to play it? We can get Jet involved. Dude, I would fucking love to do like a
We're
4-player
never getting
fucking.
Jet involved. He doesn't like games like that. He just
Come
wants
on,
to
we
play.
played it with him. Remember,
I
we've played
he
this before. He was
I
fucking into
know
it.
he was into it. Okay, I didn't think he was into
Yeah,
it.
remember what the fuck the fucking mechanic dude was, was Jet. We got to chuckle out of Jet for that, from some of the jokes. So
Oh
I
yeah,
think he would
yeah,
play with us.
yeah. I
We
can
just need
play it
to,
again.
like, we don't need a fourth, but we could find a fourth. That would be fun though. 4 of us playing fucking Borderlands 2. Like, I don't know. I've never played the game. I played the game co-op with my brother, like 2 people, and that is fun, but I've never played it with a full party before, and I do think that would be very fun. So, I don't know. And I think there's a character for everybody. Like, you could play Zero, Jet. I don't know what Jet would play actually. He probably would play Maya maybe, or
Yeah, I think he likes spellcasters. So
yeah, Maya would probably be good for him. And I don't know. I don't know who I'd play. Krieg or Gage maybe, or maybe the Gunzerker, Salvador. But it'd be fun, good time. But yeah, anyways, Borderlands 4 though. Are you excited for it?
not really. Um, unless they learned their lesson from Borderlands 3. So it's not just you. I mean, some people have talked about the story, and it
Oh
was
my
one
god.
character in particular that everyone was really upset by, and I thought they were upset for it with a different reason. But then someone actually explained it, who's not like one of those political gamers or whatever. He's like, no, this game's fucking stupid, and I'm going to explain to you why the story's stupid. And yeah, they just gave one character too much agency, and it didn't make sense how she earned that agency. And I was like, yeah,
Right.
I can definitely, even without knowing the story fully, there's been franchises where they've done that before, or not, 2K, but like in general, where they gave a character way too much agency and it wasn't necessarily earned. And
Well, and there's
yeah,
certain characters too that were just not present from Borderlands 2 for no real reason, like Mordekaiser and I think that's his name, and fucking Brick. I don't even think, like, was Brick even in Borderlands 3? I don't remember, dude.
well, because what's her face? The siren, is it Maya?
Uh, there's Lilith.
Lilith. She died. I mean,
Um,
never sure. I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but
there's Lilith, but there's the kid. I think that was the character you're thinking of.
okay, yeah, like, well, Lilith was actually like a fan favorite character, and like what happened with her, it was just kind of crazy to me that they gave that kind of agency to Maya. I think that's her name, the new character in the game, the new siren.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. It was just I watched or not watched. I listened to rather like a whole fucking 4 hour tutorial or a 4 hour story in depth thing on YouTube about it. So it's like I know the story. I just don't want to spoil it on the podcast right now. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. It just wasn't really blowing me away. Every time I look at the gameplay, I'm just not blown away by it at all. The gunplay looks a lot better than Borderlands 2 for sure. But I mean, that's like kind of a given. I mean, Borderlands 2 is like 12 years old at this point, I believe. So it's like, uh, I expect that to be better, but like, what else is better? Um, I don't know. And I'm just also just turned off by all the damage number shit. Like, we did this
Yeah,
already,
it's true.
like, so
Well, I mean, Borderlands is the game that, like,
that
kind of
started it.
popularized it,
Yeah,
right? But
popularize it. Yeah,
yeah, but it's kind of overdone at this point for
yeah.
sure. And I don't know. I mean, from a story perspective, I'm not excited about Borderlands 4 at all. I am definitely willing to give the game a shot from a gameplay standpoint if they take a different approach. If it's back to being more about the character builds and stuff like that, then I'll probably check the game out. Especially, I think the key thing for me is I just didn't find any of the characters you could play as in Borderlands 3 interesting. They all just sounded so boring.
Well, even
And
the villains, not even the characters themselves, the
oh,
villains
the
were
villains
boring.
were awful, dude. Oh my god, they were fucking terrible. And
Like the
then
twins or whatever. I don't know.
yeah, dude. Oh my, they were literally streamers, the streamer twins. Like they would be like taunting you streaming on the internet. They're like literally streaming to millions of people, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna kill your best friend. It's like just fucking moronic shit, dude.
Yeah.
Um, they were just annoying at a certain point, and then no, but yeah, if the character classes you can play as in 4 are interesting, I'll check it out probably. So we'll see on that part. But I still have Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which I have not even played, and I wanted to play it. So I don't know. I may pop that in at some point.
Hmm.
But he did. Pittsburgh did mention that actually Wonderlands, and that they are working on something for that. So whether this Borderlands 4, this next Borderlands game, may have something to do with Wonderlands or have some crossover with it, I don't know, or if they're working on a whole entirely different game. Not sure, but he did mention that as well. So
Okay.
all right, let's move on to our next piece of news, and this is some sad news again. Bungie has once again been hit by more layoffs, and not only that, there's also some restructuring coming with this as well. That is resulting in what is between the two sets of layoffs now and this restructuring. They have lost over 40% of their workforce in the last year as a studio, which is completely insane. So there was a blog post that they are cutting 220 employees, which is nearly 20% of the studio's headcount. And they're going to be focusing fully on Destiny and Marathon going forward. That they're no longer going to be investing in prototyping new games, more than likely. And the other game they were working on, which was a prototype and is a game they've been working on, um, a third game is going to be, they're moving 155 employees that are working on that game. They're going to be moving over to Sony, and Sony is going to be making a separate studio that looks like it's going to be a first party studio. So this game is probably going to be an exclusive. And the game is a brand new science fantasy universe, and it's going to be a shooter of some sort. So that's being spun out of Bungie as well. So between the 155, the 220, and the original set of layoffs, it's over 40% of their workforce that they've lost in the last year. And this is coming off of a well-received expansion from I think it was what was it, Last Light or Beyond Light? I don't remember what this last expansion was, but
Yeah, I think it's Beyond Light. I think.
or no, the Final Shape. Sorry, Final Shape. I can't keep all of Destiny 2's fucking expansions straight, but yeah, the Final Shape. And that expansion was very well received, but we don't really know how well it did financially for them. But he did say that a lot of this was so actually. There's a quote here. I'm going to read some of the blog posts. Let's see. I want to find the right part here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Quote, this morning, I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes we've ever had to make as a studio. Due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our most core structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. Let's see. And then going on here, I realize all this is hard news, especially following the success that has been we have seen with the Final Shape. But as we've navigated the broader economic realities over the last year, and after exhausting all other mitigation options, this has become a necessary decision to refocus our studio and our business with more realistic goals and viable financials. And he also mentioned that um, for over 5 years, it has been our goal to ship games with 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambition, we set up several incubation projects, each seeded with senior development leaders from our existing teams. We eventually realized that this model stretched our talent too thin too quickly. It also forced our studio support structures to scale to a larger level than we could realistically support, given our 2 primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. And additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown, sharp downturn in the games industry, our quality miss with Destiny 2 Lightfall, and the need to give both the Final Shape and Marathon the time needed to ensure both projects delivered the quality our players expect and deserve. We were overly ambitious. Our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded when we began running in the red. I'm going to end the quote there. So there's more to it if you guys want to read the whole post. But I mean, Montrell, come on. This is, I mean, how does this guy still have his fucking job at this point? Like, this is a clear leadership fail. No?
Oh my God. I mean, yeah, like I don't. They had a roadmap for 10 years, I believe, when
Yep.
Destiny was first announced.
Yep.
I think this is year 9. I think Destiny came out in 2015, maybe?
2014.
2014?
No, it's 2014.
So this is their 10-year map. Okay. So
Yep.
maybe they're at the end of their 10-year rope or whatever. And maybe he's like, this is what we need to do or whatever. But I definitely agree. I don't understand how you can say like this didn't meet our expectations when they kept pushing Destiny. There have been other games you could have made in that time
Right.
span.
You could have not put all your eggs in one basket over the last decade.
Yeah. I understand that it was very popular at one point, but I'm actually interested in seeing the player numbers for Destiny. I know it's on Steam, so I can probably look at it for Destiny 2.
Steam
But
charts, yeah.
yeah, on Steam charts for the PC version at least. But yeah, I don't know. I think people should start, or CEOs should start losing their jobs when they have to lay people off, because it's very crazy. So I mean, they're still getting around 54,000 players.
Yeah, that's 24-hour peak. Last
Yeah.
24 hours.
So I mean, that's a decent number. I don't understand where the layoffs are coming from. Like,
yeah, and I mean it's lower. It seems like it's lower than they've averaged after an expansion launch. The last few years they've kind of floated between like 80,000 and like 120,000. It looks like generally. So this is lower than it has been, but I mean, dude, like I'm gonna be honest, you can't really expect a game to last as long as Destiny 2 has and keep that level of interest over that period of time, unless the quality level is just so high that it's, it's kind of like Fortnite or something like that. It's just, but he literally admits that their quality hasn't met that level at all times, with Lightfall and all that. So it's just, I think it's just they just took a poor direction and they didn't get anything else out fast enough. It's like they should have had some other project that came out in the last 10 years that it wasn't Destiny. And obviously they realized that, but they, trying to make 5 games at the same time with a 1,000 or 1,100 person studio that feels like that's asking for trouble. I feel like, if you're trying to make them all at the scale of Destiny, that's just too much to me. Because Destiny's support structure in the studio is probably over half the studio, I would imagine, in terms of getting content out, patching the game, and all that, upkeeping the servers and everything, making new, cosmetics and microtransactions and all that stuff. I mean, that's a huge, you need a huge number of people to continue to support that the way they have. So, I don't know. Again, I mean, we say this every time, right? Like the failure of leadership is always put on the people, at the bottom. It's just unfortunately it's so fucking stupid the way this always works at these companies. Is companies overexpand and then they get rid of the people that they fucking hired when they overexpanded. It's bullshit. It's really poor form, and I don't know. I mean, Montreal, do you think long term, what does this mean for Bungie? Like, do you think they're kind of on their last rope here, where before Sony comes in and just takes them over?
yeah, I think they're going to lose their agency. They're going to lose their independence. Hell, I can even see them. I mean, Halo is coming to, is rumored to come to fucking fucking PlayStation. I can see them, trying to work out some deal with Microsoft. I mean, obviously through Sony, to kind of work with them again or something like that.
Because they can't. Yeah, they can't. I mean,
They
Sony
can't
does
just
own them technically. So.
exactly. Yeah. So, I can see that happening or whatever. But um, yeah, it's not like Halo's their only thing. They also have like other games as well. Obviously, Marathon. Um, I think they should try to dibble back into making single player games, maybe with a multiplayer component like they did for Halo.
Yeah.
Um, I was actually really disappointed. I like I said, I mean, Marathon started out as I believe it started out. I don't believe it was multiplayer. The original Marathon, I think it was a single player game, almost Doom esque or
Hmm.
whatever. Um,
Yeah, I don't know much about it, unfortunately.
um, But they have other games like Oni, which I really want, which I really wanted, which is like an action, a third party, or I'm sorry, a third party, a third person shooter action game type game that they had, and they just never made another one. But it was on the PS2, and I loved it, and a lot of people who did play it loved that game. But yeah, they just never made another one after that, and I would really love for them to go back and you know visit that game or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think it is crazy for them to just put all their eggs into Destiny, which is yeah, kind of stupid to me, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And I think I mean, the most interesting part of the story is the game that's getting split off from Bungie into its own studio, potentially in the under Sony. Um, you know, I'm more excited about that than anything Bungie's working on, to be frank. I don't really care about Marathon personally, and Destiny. I've long moved on from Destiny, um, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that game is early in development, but it must be promising enough that Sony wants to keep it. You know, and it'll be interesting to see what it is when it finally does get revealed. So we'll see. All right, let's move on to our next topic: NCAA 25, um, or college football 25, as it's actually called. But this game is doing some numbers, Montrell. The game has in 2 weeks since launch has more than 5 million players and has made $500 million in sales already since launch. And pre-launch, there was they had 220,000, I believe, or no, sorry, 2.2 million players that pre-ordered the game with the $100 edition in order to play the game 3 days early. So, um, yeah, college football video games are back, and holy fuck, um, this is big. This is a big game. We said it was going to be big.
Hmm.
I think this was obvious. I can't believe it's kind of weird because when I looked this story up, nobody in the industry is talking about this fucking game, which is fucking weird as fuck. You know, like
Really?
IGN doesn't have a story about it. I didn't see anything on GameSpot, Polygon, fucking any of these places. Eurogamer, like nobody's talking about this game.
Maybe EA's playing them off not to talk about it. It's like fuck. Now we're gonna have to actually try with Madden.
No, I
Because
don't. I
it,
don't think so. I just don't think the industry's interested, and that's crazy because this is instantaneously one of the biggest games of the fucking year. You know.
yeah. No, I think it's a really good game. So far. Um, I don't know if they're going to add an ultimate team to this game. I hope they don't. Um, but so far, like the game feels really good. There are some glitches. Sometimes you may run into the air or whatever when you tackle somebody. Like I tackled somebody once, and then they got up and they were like
Wait, are
running.
you bought this?
I didn't buy it. I'm not going to say how it was
Ah,
gifted. It was gifted to
okay,
me.
I see.
But yeah. I don't know. I think it's a really cool game. I didn't buy it though. I was gonna buy it, but then I got that opportunity. I didn't buy it, so I don't feel bad about it. I will say this game did have like a huge pre-order, or people bought the pre-order to play it 4 days early, and that was very,
That
um,
shit is really effective.
yeah, and
It's kind of wild how effective that has become.
yeah, I kind of wish they didn't do that. Um,
Well,
so as proud as I am of
you're
the,
paying for the shittiest version of the game. Like
yeah, and
remember with Diablo, it didn't work for like the first fucking day. Diablo 4 last
yeah,
year.
that's true.
Yeah.
It is like as proud as I am for the game. This is like I guess my pessimism rolling in. I'm just wondering how many years is it going to take before it becomes same shit. You know,
Yeah.
like
Probably next year. I mean, what again? This is gonna be like Madden, dude. What incentive do they have to make improvements? You know?
True. So this might be the first last year I buy this game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's sad too because I just really want a good Madden game. Like that's all I want, man. I just really want a good NFL game. I really want to go back to the times I was playing Madden for hours because there was genuinely a lot of shit to do. But I did talk to this in my group chat because I have two group chats, like one of my high school friends and then one of my college friends I grew up with or whatever. And yeah, like my high school friends, they're like casual as you can get. Like they ask me, they're so casual. They ask me about games. Like, hey, Montrell, have you heard about this game? And it's some game that came out like 4 years ago, or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I play that all the time, or whatever. Type. So, I did recently find out that they love Ultimate Team. They buy it every year, or they participate in it every year.
Oh no.
And I was
Yeah.
like, you guys do that? And they're like, yeah. Like I love Ultimate Team, bro. I just wish, my stuff can go over to the next game. And I'm like, I didn't even say that. I just got silent in the chat or whatever. But yeah, I was just like, it's actually insane how they wanted Ultimate Team in NCAA, or I'm sorry, in college football. And I'm just like, I don't want that shit. It's like, why not? I'm like, I don't want a microtransaction ass game in my fucking game. Like, I just want to play the fucking game. I don't want to have to buy the game and then buy the game again for like card packs or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were just like, I want it though. Like I think they should have it. I was just like, this is insane to me.
They're brainwashed. Like straight up.
You're right. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just kind of crazy to me.
Like I don't understand how anybody can play Ultimate Team and think it's like the superior way to play a football video game. I don't like. They probably have an addiction, more than likely. Like, because I mean, that's what the whole mode is predicated on: packs, opening packs. Basically loot boxes, essentially. The whole mode is designed around that concept. And yeah, you do play with the players you get. You get to play the game with the players you get. I'm sure there is some degree of satisfaction to it when you start getting better players and your team's getting better and you're more effective.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I don't play a football video game to get that feeling. And
it kind of reminds me of like, it's almost like live action sports trading cards, like baseball cards.
Yeah.
And you got the rookie card of like Michael Jordan or whatever the case may be or whatever.
I know, but they're not real.
Exactly. But you're playing with you're playing with said cards on the digital field, and
they give you a benefit, right? Like, a card's just a card, right? But in the context of Madden Ultimate Team, like that card means something in terms of like power within the game, but it's pay to win. It's a gotcha game, basically, Montrell, essentially.
Yeah, it is a gotcha game. They don't realize it.
They don't care. They like it. I mean, fuck.
And
I've talked about my issues with it. Like, I'm weak to it.
And that's when I realized that this is a losing battle right there.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the thing is with Madden, I'm disgusted by it in the context of Madden because it's in the game at the detriment to the entire rest of the experience, and it literally is developed for instead of all the other parts of the game, and it's just a money making machine. They don't use that. They don't reinvest that money to make Madden better, either. So that it's just fucking gross. Like the whole platform is gross. Whereas like Genshin Impact, again, I've said this before, it is like a good game. It is a well made video game. It's just wrapped in the gotcha's wrapped in that, So it's like, I'm sure some people would argue, oh yeah, well Madden's a good game and it's the same concept, but it's like, okay, our ideas of what a good game are different, clearly, and that's fine. You can have that opinion. I don't have a problem with it. It's just it's so I don't know. There's definitely a line in there for me where Madden is like over the line, where maybe Genshin Impact isn't. Even though right now, currently, I'm kind of sick of these gotcha games, and like they are kind of over the line for me right now. So it's I don't know. It vacillates for me at any given time, but Madden's never been in the there because the reason I hate it, honestly, is this was in 2012. I think was one of the last times I played Madden like super deeply. And it was Madden 25. Actually, hilariously enough, it was the 25th anniversary of Madden, not Madden 25 as in the year, which is the one this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but that game was supposed to be a celebration of 25 years of Madden, and the game was fairly well made, but the I didn't know what Ultimate Team was back then, and so I played it, and I actually got into it for a really brief period of time. I'd say like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. I was like really into Madden Ultimate Team until I kind of realized what it was, is that it was just like a little gambling casino to get you addicted into getting packs and buying packs and all this fucking bullshit with packs. And I dropped it at that point. I went back to franchise mode, and I was like, this is fucking stupid, dude. Like franchise mode is football, like it is football. Like football to me is not a casino where you build this like dream team fantasy team, I don't want to play Madden like that, so I think that's the other problem, is the structure of the mode is such that it doesn't appeal to me from a gameplay standpoint, because I like football. I play sports games as a sim. I want them to be simulations, for the most part. And Ultimate Team is definitely not a simulation. It is super arcadey and is trying to give you that power fantasy of like from playing football perspective, So, so yeah, I don't know. That those are kind of my reasons why I've never gone back to it. Like I've never even opened the fucking mode in any other Maddens I've ever bought since. Is because I had that experience there, and I realized what it was, and it doesn't sound like it's really changed fundamentally at all. But yeah, it's I don't know, is what it is. I mean, it's the reason why the game is the way it is that mode, and I think that's the other thing, is it's just made me bitter over time, seeing that. It's just so fucking frustrating that nobody, that fucking no one, really, I don't know, like no one, like the actual players of it don't even realize what they're in, that they're in that, they're in that cycle. Because it should be an outrage that you can spend thousands of dollars on a Madden game and then it's wiped out and reset in the next year's game. That's a fucking outrage, dude, to me. But it works. Nobody really complains about it. People keep buying it and doing it all over again every year. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say on this, or no?
No, unfortunately, I'm glad people who enjoy the game. I'm going to enjoy it this year. This is probably the last year I'm buying it, though. To be honest with you, or I'm not even buying it. I didn't buy it. This is probably the last year I'm playing it. I'm probably going to play this same version and just update the roster for like the next like 5 to 10 years, however much they allow it, or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just
That's about
waiting for I've been waiting for Madden forever now, for probably 6, 7, 8 years now, to actually have a good edition for once. And is 2025 going to be that year, or 2024? I guess Madden 25 is that going to be the game?
It'll be
I don't think so.
25. I don't know. I mean, from that article I read, it sounds like they're trying to do some stuff, but
Yeah,
I don't know. We have to see. We have to see when the game comes out.
yeah. Yep, we'll see Angry Joe's review or whatever he does. It's not even really a review. But yeah. So, all right, let's move on to our next story. Next story has been a kind of brewing for months now, and it's the reason we're bringing it up now again is because Ubisoft threw their threw their hat back in the ring and released a statement. So, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Game was revealed a few months ago. It's gonna have two main characters. It's gonna have a Japanese female character and then a black character named Yasuke, who is a real historical figure. in Japanese history, and he's going to be the samurai in the game. But you're going to play as both of them. However, this controversy bubbled over at a certain point where Japanese players are actually very upset by this, that they're finally getting an Assassin's Creed set in their country, but it's not necessarily focusing on a Japanese character. They make that decision to focus it on, there is a Japanese main character you're going to play as, but focusing it on a black character as well at the same time. They kind of feel like it's a missed opportunity to actually focus on actual Japanese historical figures, because the Japanese character you're going to play as, the female character, is not a real historical figure. So yeah. So the statement here. So I'm just going to read a portion of this. Quote, "We acknowledge that some elements in our promotional materials have caused concern within the Japanese community. For this, we sincerely apologize. Assassin's Creed Shadows is first and foremost designed to be an entertaining video game that tells a compelling historical fiction set in feudal Japan. Our team extensively collaborated with external consultants, historians, researchers, and internal teams at Ubisoft Japan to inform our creative choices. While we strive for authenticity in everything that we do, Assassin's Creed games are works of fiction inspired by real historical events and figures. From its inception, the series has taken creative license and incorporated fantasy elements to craft engaging and immersive experiences. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. His unique and mysterious life made him an ideal candidate to tell an Assassin's Creed story with the setting of feudal Japan as a backdrop. While Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion. We have woven this carefully into our narrative, and with our other lead character, the Japanese shinobi Naui, who is equally important in the game, our dual protagonists provide players with different gameplay styles." End quote. Montrell, what do you think about this whole situation?
I'm not Japanese, so I don't want to speak for them, and I'm not going to speak for them. I will say, I think from what I was following before I got off of Twitter, the Japanese people that did speak out were historians, people of, you know, within the, obviously they are Japanese citizenry and heritage and everything, and they were on the side of Yusuke is real. He's a real. He was a samurai. He just didn't have a name. He didn't have a surname or a family name, but he was. They gave him a house, land, and all that stuff like that. Not to be a conspiracy theorist and not to invalidate Japanese players, I actually wonder how many are these are actual Japanese players or Western people cosplaying as Japanese players. Because we did see that there was a huge thing where a guy, it got a huge buzz, and this is, like I said, this was before I even got off of Twitter. He was using Google Translate, and he was like tweeting in Japanese and everything like that. And then it turns out that some people did use the Wayback Machine, and they found out that this guy is just a regular ass American dude who just doesn't like, black people or whatever the case may be, or whatever. Maybe he does like black people. I don't fucking know, but he wasn't Japanese. That's the whole point. And he's parading himself as a Japanese person. So I really question, and like I said, no offense to like actual Japanese players, I just really question the validity of Japanese people being upset at said game, if that makes any sense, or at Ubisoft for said game. And on top of that, I understand she's not a historical figure, but we do have a Japanese character in the game. And she's a shinobi and everything. I want to say in Assassin's Creed Origins, you don't play as a historical figure. I want to say in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you don't play as a historical
You
figure.
don't.
I
You
want to
don't in most of
say
those.
in Assassin's Creed, I think it's called Revolution. It was the bundle pack that came out with 3. You play as a half black, half white woman who can switch between blending in with the slaves, and she can blend into like what was modern society at that point or whatever, the upper class, the non-slave people, the free people or whatever. She can blend into being white, and it had a narrative revolved around that as well, and the gameplay was revolved around that. She was not real, so actually, in Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and 3, you don't play as a real character. Your character interacts with real characters. 4, you don't play as a real character. Your character interacts with real characters or real people, real figures, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, just from that game's history, I don't get this notion where we have to play as a historical figure.
Well, okay. I'm gonna play devil's advocate though here. You're
Okay.
kind of pointing out how weird this is though. That suddenly in the Japanese game we're gonna make a black historical figure one of the main characters.
Okay, there you go. That's a good point.
That is kind of weird, like, isn't it?
Yep.
Whereas the Japanese character's fictional. It's notable. I don't think it. I'm not gonna take anything from it necessarily, but it is certainly notable. Like based on what you're saying there. Because what about Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Do you play a real fictional? You play a fictional character in that game?
I have to ask Chris. He's the one who beat that game. But I'm pretty sure the character you don't play as, I don't think you play as a real character, a historical figure in that game. That is very interesting. Yeah. I think would have been the more correct approach. Honestly, because you got me there. That's a good point. That's a really good point. I can't even counter that. I think what they should have done was they should have done the Neo route. Yeah. Or maybe they already realized Neo did this route already, where you just play against Yusuke. Because in Neo 2, you play against Yusuke in that game. They acknowledge that he's a samurai actually in that game, which is very interesting that no one brought that up when that game came out. But it's not a playable character. But it's not a playable character.
I think about it though, right? They handled it differently, right? Like this is that was a Japanese studio making a game set in Japan, and they put the character in, but he's not important like in the game.
Yeah, really. That's true.
He's in a couple cutscenes and you can fight him. One of the missions you can fight him. But it's like a spar too. You don't kill him or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he's just a side character in that context. Whereas here, he's
a main character.
So I don't know. I can kind of see where the complaints are coming from because to play devil's advocate a little bit more, let's say, because let's take this in a different direction, is like, let's say an Assassin's Creed game was set in Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say there was like an Asian person in like history that did something notable in Africa or whatever, and that was the main character they chose for the Assassin's Creed game set in Africa, and there would be an African character as well. But like, how would you feel about that? Would that? Because I mean,
they did it in Resident Evil 2. I mean, Resident Evil 5. Chris true. Was. That's fair. It wasn't a historical character, but the side character was Sheva, and that was her assignment in Africa. She was playable. She was playable.
Oh, she was playable.
She was playable. Yeah, you can play as Chris or her, but she was the side character. Chris was the main character.
I guess I don't know. Does the context change because this is a historical game series?
I think that's the context. I think the context is the historical thing. Like I said, I can't counter that. That's a good point. They've never done this before, and now they're doing it now. Now maybe they did it in their 2D, their 2.5D games. They come out with. Yeah. I don't play those games though. I haven't played those games. So I can't really comment on those games. But I know the games that I played, 1, 2, Brotherhood, 3, I think it's called Assassin's Creed Liberty. I can't remember. Syndicate.
Yeah.
And Origins and Odyssey, we don't play as historical figures. We play as people who interact with historical figures.
Mhm.
This is very interesting that they did this. Now, I don't want to get into another conspiracy theory because people are like, well, it's what's it called? Smiley face or smile face or some company that supposedly regulates how much DEI you have in your game or whatever, which I hate that fucking term.
Yeah.
But I keep seeing that name go around everywhere in like the comments and stuff like that. And it's like, did Ubisoft do that because of that? Or
Mhm.
did they genuinely want to showcase this story?
Yeah.
So I don't know because it's Ubisoft. So they don't have a good track record of being honest. So I really can't I can't tell you what it is,
Yeah.
I am biased in this because I am black and I do
Mhm.
love samurai, and we all once black people learned about Yusuke about I would say about 9 to 10 years ago, we kind of clamored to him or whatever
He's
because
become a very popular
yeah.
figure, certainly. Yeah.
So I definitely am interested in the character, but like I said, I am biased. So from that perspective, what you're saying with the devil's advocate, I can understand now why Japanese players would be upset. But then there's also a part of me is saying like, how many of these
Are they
Japanese
really?
players, yeah,
Are they
are they
really though? Yeah.
upset? Because
Yeah.
we've had stuff where there have been other games, and I can't really mention them off the top of my head, but there have been other situations where um there'll be some Westerner who claims to know Japanese culture because they watch anime and they the people I'm talking about. Like
Mhm. Oh
they
yeah.
they they just claim because they're always interacting with it, but they don't really study it or whatever. Or they may
Yeah.
read a couple of Wikipedia articles on certain parts of Japanese history.
Mhm.
And they claim like, oh, well, actually, the Japanese don't like when we do this or when we do that. And then when you go over there or you actually talk to a Japanese person, they're like, oh, I actually don't give two fucks about that. Like
Yeah.
I,
Right.
I do
Yeah.
this or I do that or whatever the case may be. Um, so I honestly don't know. I mean, I think it's a good point. I don't really have a strong stance either way, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
about the game.
Yeah.
And if Japanese players do feel like that, I think that's a valid way to feel. Like if actual Japanese people do feel that way, I think that's
Yeah.
valid. That's totally valid, and um, a critic, uh, yeah, a valid criticism towards Ubisoft about it.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to judge right now too. Obviously, the game's not out. We don't know how much of a role both characters play, like how much you play as each one. Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? Is it 70-30? Like we don't really know. So it's kind of hard to judge the game too much. I will say, just to fill in the blanks here on our conversation about if you could play as historical figures in the franchise. So yes, there have been 3 instances.
Okay,
You could play as Leonidas in Odyssey for a hot second, literally like the very beginning of the game, I think.
okay,
And then Anastasia Romanoa, I don't know, in AC Chronicles Russia, which is one of the side-scrolling games.
side-scrolling games. Okay,
Yeah, and then Jack the Ripper and AC Syndicate. However, Jack the Ripper is a debatable whether that's a real person or fictional because they're the history on that person is not clear.
clear. Yeah, we don't know if that
So
person actually existed or not, right?
that
Because they
one
never.
I would throw that one up as fictional probably.
Okay.
Because there's no way to interpret it in a way that's like actually accurate to history, because we don't know.
Okay. I mean
Um,
that makes sense. I think
and sorry, one more thing. Assassin's Creed Red, which is I think the next game coming, is going to feature a historical main character as well, or historical figure as main character. So
okay.
it seems like a direction they may be starting to go in.
So so they're starting in that direction. I guess I don't know. I don't know, man. If they're gonna start in that direction, maybe he should have played. Maybe could have played as Nobunaga. Oda Nobunaga. He was a fucking terrible person. I mean, maybe you
Also,
could.
I don't think it would make a whole lot of sense for the general to be running
Yeah,
around
exactly.
killing, like fucking stealthing around forts and shit.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
So
know.
I don't know who else they could have picked,
Yeah,
but
they definitely could have
um,
picked somebody else. But I was just mentioning like people I know or whatever. But
well, they could have made the Japanese character not fictional. really what they could have done.
True, they could have just. I, I I think the best route would have been just to make both characters Japanese and both characters not or fictional, and
maybe have Yasuke in the game, like
yeah,
as a character that you don't play as
exactly.
necessarily.
I,
Yeah.
I truly think though, in my heart of hearts, and this is just me, I really just don't think people like the character because it's black. That's literally
no, for sure. There's definitely an element of that. I would, yeah.
I've never seen this much controversy. Well, it's almost like every time there's a different character of color, whether it be black or Indian or some other color besides like white or Asian, people have a huge issue with it. And
right.
I don't know.
No, this seems to happen more with black characters than any other ethnicity for sure.
Yeah. So I honestly don't. Like I said, I'm not Japanese, so if Japanese players actually feel that way, then I think it's 100% valid in my opinion. I'm not going to rain on their parade or try to tell them how to feel. When honestly, no matter the color, I don't think Westerners should have a say in this debate anyway.
I agree totally.
I mean, he's a real person.
Yeah.
But it's Japanese. It's still Japanese heritage. I'm not a black Japanese person. There are black Japanese people. I'm not a black Japanese person. So it's not really for me to say. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost to a degree, yes, I am African American per se, yes. But I am not from Africa. I am from Detroit, Michigan. So I don't know what the fuck going on over in Africa. my lineage has been away from Africa for 400 years. So, you know, even in that aspect, right? Like when the whole when they were debating doing Resident Evil 5, like, oh my God, should we do this? Is offensive? It's not really my call. It's not really Black Americans' call, in my opinion, or even Caribbean people. Like y'all, we're over here on the Western Hemisphere, where Africa's on the Eastern Hemisphere. So it's like I don't know. It's a huge debate. I mean, do white Americans get upset when they? Well, I know Italians for Italians for sure. They used to get really offended by the Italian stereotype that was displayed on TV. I do know that for like a fact.
Yeah. Okay, tell me more.
I mean, I do know. I mean, because my friend used to say that. He's like, his dad. I used to go over his dad's house. His dad used to get upset about that shit.
Yeah.
He's like, what was The Sopranos? He's like, that shit is not fucking real. Like, not all fucking people or Italian people were fucking mobsters and shit like that. Because he had a hard time getting a fucking job because of that shit for a while. It was kind of wild, in my opinion. But I mean, you're Italian, so you're Italian American. So I don't mean.
Well, I would say it's probably more of like an older generation thing, like the generation older than us, like the one generation older than us.
Okay, yeah.
Because growing up for myself, like that, it's not really something I was dealing a whole lot with, I guess.
Okay.
But I will say, I mean, Italians were certainly discriminated against.
Oh yeah, 100%.
On the East Coast and in the Boston area, especially when they first came to the country. So same with Irish people. I mean, they were discriminated against, but we don't talk about those things anymore, though. Montrell, So. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sure a lot of young people don't actually know that.
They don't. I mean, the history of America is actually fucking wild. What you consider quote unquote white. Like they did consider Irish people white, and you're like, huh? Like, yeah, they're
right. I mean, yeah, dude. Like, would you we consider Spaniards white, but it's like we don't consider any of the other like countries that are kind of descended from that lineage white. It's a fucking weird. It's a weird thing. Because you're totally right. Italians and Irish definitely were not considered white. 100 years ago.
Y'all were discriminated against. I mean, it was a huge thing. I mean, if you watched that movie Gangs of New York, I think that actually captures it. Does It's not historically accurate, but it captures the mood of that time period insanely well, to where, you know, I don't even know what the other white Americans were. They just like regular descendants from the British colonies or something. I don't fucking know. Like,
Yeah.
and then they were, then Italian American or Italian immigrants, and then obviously Irish immigrants try to come over here, Polish immigrants as well try to were coming over here, and they were being discriminated against along with black people. So it's just like it was a huge deal. Like, this immigration thing is like not new. It's just now that
No, it's definitely not.
once you really think about it, it's not new. Like, now, unfortunately, like, Latino Americans are the targets of this selective outrage. And I feel like it's bled over into our video game culture and stuff like that. Because I mean, me and Jet didn't get into it or whatever, but I had to explain to him, like, I legitimately hate the term DEI. I think, in my opinion, I'd rather somebody just call me the N-word. Like, that would make me less angrier than saying DEI. Like, just say what you want to say.
Well, that's the new woke. That's the new, like, woke or fucking, it's like,
or thug or whatever. Like, I remember that was a phrase for these thugs. It's like, bro, just say what you want to say. You know, you want to say
shit. Yeah,
like,
that one was way more overt. It's like you're calling me, like, you know what a thug is, right? Like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about like, even for instance too, right? With the CIA, or I'm sorry, not the CIA, Secret Service, and how she had to resign, right, because of the whole Trump assassination thing. Which I agree, it was kind of warranted because they definitely botched that job, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it was because they called her a DEI hire because she's a woman. Obviously,
oh my god.
So it's like,
what the fuck, dude?
Just call her the B word at this point.
I know, really, seriously. Just come on out. Just come on out the closet, buddy. Like,
so that's why the term is so blanketed, and you can use it for different things. But I know in the context when people use it. So it's just like, for video games in particular, I do agree. And the funny part about it is, a lot of black gamers agree. You can call DJ up right now. He will agree that some characters in video games that are black, or so happen to be black, are put in there solely because of the reason they're black. They're not good characters. They don't have good character design. They don't have, and we call that shit out all the time because we fucking hate it, because it diminishes the quality of an actual good black character when they do come on the scene.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Montrell, did you see that? Did you see with Concord that people were pointing out that I think there's like not a single white character in the entire roster or something? It's like, wow, that is, when you point it out like that, it seems pretty deliberate, you know?
Yeah, that
it's funny though. Like, I don't care, right? Like, it doesn't.
I mean,
matter
did you notice it when you played it?
I didn't play it. Play it. So no,
okay, I will say it like this, right?
Would I have noticed it?
Would you have noticed
it? Probably not. But I'm not paying it. That's the thing. I'm not the type of person to pay attention to that shit, dude. I'm not sitting here looking for, like, oh, there's 5 black characters in this fucking game and there's only fucking 8 characters. What the fuck? It's like fucking diversity. It's like, I'm not looking for that in anything.
I play Persona, right? And like, there are literally no black characters in that game, and I don't give a fuck. I'm just playing the game. Like,
but the game, right? But the game takes place in Japan, right? Like, it's like,
I mean, yeah, but it's like, people will get upset about that. I don't. Some people will get upset about that, right? Well, okay, I'll take another example, right? Zelda, right? Yeah. I mean, obviously you got the
that's fair.
The Gerudos or whatever, right? But they're not black. I consider them like,
I don't think they're black either.
I don't think they're black. Yeah,
more like Middle Eastern.
Yeah, Middle Eastern probably. To that. Yeah. So, but there aren't any, like, you don't see any black Hylians in there, and it's like, no. Okay, I don't care. I'm playing the game.
I know, but it is, when you point it out though, it's, I mean, I don't know.
It is,
like, in the context. No, is it weird though? Like, in the context of Persona, I don't have a problem with it because I guess it takes place in Japan, like,
yeah, exactly,
in the Japanese school system. But when you talk about, like, Hyrule not having any black people, I guess it's like, damn, that does sound kind of bad, bro. You know?
And it's like, yeah, it makes no. But then people are like, well, actually, Montrell, it's based off of the fucking European
Fuck
folklore.
off! Oh my fucking god, dude. Yeah. Fucking Aonuma was like, yeah, dog, I want this to be based off medieval Europe. Hyrule is definitely based off medieval Europe.
And you know what? I don't even think he thought about that when he was creating the characters.
Probably not.
Does
that make him racist though? Like it's come on. Like let's be real for a second. Does that idea make him racist that he didn't think to put a black character in?
So I don't think it makes it racist at all. I think it's a product of what's always being shown to us, right? It's a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
Right now, if I say a medieval European setting, do black people pop up in your head? No, not even for me. It doesn't pop up in my head. And I'm black. You know what I'm saying? So even when I watch, like, no offense, oh my god, this is gonna sound so bad. My race is gonna fucking revoke my black card. When I watch Game of Thrones and I see black fucking Targaryens, I'm like, this shit looks so crazy to me. It looks crazy to me.
Wait, so are you watching House of the Dragon?
I am watching House of the Dragon.
Okay,
I've been
there's a whole family. There's a whole black family.
I know. There's a whole black family. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, like
they do come from the other. To be fair, though, they do come from the other continent.
Okay, I didn't know that part.
They're not from Westeros. Yeah, that family's lineage is tied to old Valyria, which is in Essos. So
okay, that makes sense. That makes
which there are plenty of black people in Essos. George made sure to put them over there. In the fucking, in the fantasy universe, they got to be wearing turbans, bro, or something, right? Like Game of Thrones is really no different.
Like Oblivion, the Red Guard, or the what do they call the Red Guards, right?
Yeah. Or Witcher, dude. Did you ever play Hearts of Stone for The Witcher?
Yeah.
So, like, you play the whole game and there's no black characters in the whole game, and then you play Hearts of Stone, and all of a sudden the turban wearing black guys show up, and they're the merchants. It's like it's so fucking.
Oh, but even in The Witcher 2, right? Let's take that for example, right? Yeah. I didn't get upset when I didn't see a black character in The Witcher.
Yeah, right.
And also, not even just black characters or whatever. We didn't see an Asian character in The Witcher, or did we? I don't think we did.
I want to say Hearts of Stone also had Asian characters. I want to say they were similarly racistly designed, I would argue, but I don't quite remember though 100%. So it's so funny. We've pointed this out for a long time. The racism in fantasy, like it's a real thing. It definitely is a real thing.
They always hail from the eastern region,
the eastern desert region. They ride elephants and like they're fucking.
I mean, but that's what you gotta do sometimes. You just gotta laugh at the racism, bro.
I know.
Laugh at it. And sometimes it's warranted to get mad at it, and then sometimes it's just so fucking funny. Yeah. It's like it's so this is funny.
Oh shit.
But like I don't know. That's how I approach. That's how I try to approach my video games as well. I think this is gonna sound so fucking stupid. Honestly, I think the only game to accurately portray almost every race and everyone's equally shitty is GTA. White people are shitty, Latino people are shitty, Asian people are shitty, black people are shitty in GTA. Everybody's equally shitty in GTA, the GTA universe.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really the only game franchise rather I can think that gets that right, in my opinion. Without like trying to like butter it up or put one race above the other race, or I don't know. It is like it's a couple of games out there where I play as a black character, and I'm just like, it's refreshing just to play as a character that just so happen to be black, but they have really good character design or character development. Watch Dogs 2 was one of those games where you play as Marcus. I think he was like a really cool character, and everything like that. And he just so happened to be black. I just thought that was really cool. So I mean, they do know how Ubisoft knows how to make good, quote unquote, diverse characters, but I feel like everything people do today is so politically charged. Oh,
Yeah.
another game that gets away with it, or not gets away with it, but I think they do a really good job with it is Tekken and Street Fighter. They portray, the characters and where they come from really well as well.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
like Kimberly's a black American ninja, like who spray paints. Like I don't know what to tell you, like So I think people are pick and choose what games they want to be politically charged with. You can't do the political angle with like Street Fighter or Tekken, right? Because they've always been doing that shit. They've always been having different characters of color in wacky situations. Raven in Tekken is a ninja, a black ninja who looks like the character Cisco, the Thong 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 song
Yeah.
guy. He looks like
Yeah.
that guy, but he's a ninja. And it's like, okay, bro, I don't fucking care. I think it's fucking cool. Like, but no one complained about that, right? So I don't know. I think it's just selective outrage. It's been it's been blown up by both sides, and then when it's been blown up to such a degree, people look at it with a fine tooth comb and they find other stuff to be upset with it about or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Because I mean, not even black people, right? There are plenty of brown skin and dark skin or darker complexion Asians that don't get represented in video
Yeah.
games at all.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the Mongols, for instance, in fucking
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima,
Fucking
right?
Ghost of Tsushima.
They
Yeah,
were light as
that's
fuck, and you just
yeah, dude.
So
Yeah.
it's like, and even in Japan, they have brown or they have like I don't want to say like brown, but they have like darker complexion Japanese people on certain islands in Japan and stuff like that, and they weren't I hardly see them represented. I do see them sometimes represented in anime, like Brock obviously was like the representation
Yeah.
of that or whatever the case may be in Pokemon. But I don't know. I don't see people complain about that type of shit either. So I just think at the end of the day, this Ubisoft thing for me personally is just really selective outrage, and it got so blown up that other people are starting to see other things that they don't like about the game
Hmm.
that is valid, but I question the validity of it as well, because would you even pay attention to it if it was blown up to the degree that was blown up as,
Right.
if that makes any sense? So
Yep.
that's
Um.
my 2 cents on. I don't know, how do you feel about the whole thing?
Well, two more things I want to say. So I want to go back to the Witcher thing real quick. So
Yeah.
the characters in Hearts of Stone are not black. Actually, they're meant to be of Arabic descent.
Okay,
They're
that
called
makes
the
sense.
Ophiri. They're from Ophir, and they wear turbans. So still racist, but different race. Um, and then the other thing I wanted to say was about this conversation in general, right? I think something that Americans forget a lot of the time when we're talking about this stuff when it comes to other countries is that we are pretty much unique in the way that we are as a
Hmm.
society, because there is no American heritage really. Like,
Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
all of our families at some point came from somewhere else, where that is not true in these other countries like Japan and pretty much every other country, a lot of other countries in the world, right? um so we are arguing from that perspective, whereas people from Japan are arguing from a much more like a deeper heritage
Mm,
than we have, right? Like they might have thousands of years of lineage going back in Japan,
yeah.
so it kind of changes the complexion of the conversation from that perspective too. Because if they actually are upset, if Japanese players actually are upset, well, you got to remember that too when you're thinking about why they're upset, because they are much more tied to their country from a heritage standpoint than we
Yeah,
are,
exactly. That
So
makes sense, and that's why I say it's 100% valid. If that, like I said, if these complaints are coming from actual Japanese players and not people
yeah,
cosplaying as Japanese people,
exactly,
um,
right,
I think the complaints are 100% valid, because because of what you just said there as well. Like, people's families goes thousands of years back. They're tied to the land. They built the land themselves.
hmm
So
there's a lot
yeah,
more pride for their country.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Than there is with us, and because yeah, in the United States, it's like do you hear, like, unless they're like those like extreme right wing, crazy people, do you really hear people being hyper patriotic about the United States that aren't politicians? Like, not really.
Not really. I mean, I
Don't
do it
really.
just to be an asshole sometimes. I used to be on Twitter. I'm like, I'm a proud of
Yeah.
American. Like when I'm arguing with a UK person or some shit.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, not. I think what's unique about America is we're so tied to. A lot of people are tied to their state or city that they're born in, or maybe even their
Mm,
neighborhood that they come from. You know,
yeah.
like you can be from a certain part of Texas, and you're like, I love, I don't know, Houston. Like when I got here in Dallas, I didn't know so many Dallas people like born and raised in DFW and stuff like that hate
Mm,
Houston. Like they just do not like Houstonians at all. They call it the armpit of Texas and all that shit like that. And that
yeah.
was like very unique, a unique experience for me, um, and everything of that nature. But just the same way with like people who from Detroit, we pride ourselves on being on from Detroit, even though people everywhere else like, oh man, how did you guys live there? And this is like it's a regular fucking city, bro. I don't know what to tell you, you know. So it's just like, um, I'm pretty sure it's the same way with people from Boston, people from Chicago, people from all these other. I mean, that's a good point. We're very unique into the way we are tied to the land. Um, because I mean, United States is relatively new. I mean, we're only like what 400 years old. Like
No,
we're not that old.
250 years.
Two
It's
hundred
not even
fifty. Yeah. So
actually. Fuck, dude. The 250th anniversary is coming up in 2 years. Actually, I think
oh
since
shit.
the Declaration of Independence. Holy shit, 1776, bro.
Yeah, because I know Detroit, the city of Detroit, is actually 324 years old, or I think, or 323 years old. Obviously, it started out as a French colony, and it grew.
Right. A lot of these cities though existed before the country did.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
So,
obviously Boston and Philadelphia and New York
yep.
did for sure. Right.
Yeah, so I think we're unique in that aspect where a lot of people don't understand Americans and how we think about America. So
Right.
I don't know. It is pretty cool though. I think our diversity makes us super cool. Even though a lot of people think that's a weakness, I think it's cool that I can just walk down the street, even food wise, I can walk down the street and get some fucking Japanese food or Indian food, and then whatever the case may be, or actually interact with like an Indian community or a Japanese community or a fucking
Yeah.
Korean community or whatever the case may be. Like I think that's pretty cool, whereas other people think it's a weakness for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
and it's to each their own, you know.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, Montrell, let's move on to our final story, which is a rumor from Tom Warren that Obsidian's game coming out this year, Avowed, is going to be delayed into early next year, early 2025. He did mention that I'll just read the quote here. So I'm hearing that Obsidian is about to announce Avowed delayed to early 2025. And he said this the they're doing this to avoid a very busy period for Game Pass, basically.
Okay.
Um, Not necessarily because the game's not ready. So, which is so. I mean, that's interesting. Certainly, I think more companies should do things like this. I feel like a lot of companies don't. Um, they just want to get their game out as soon as fucking humanly possible. You know.
Yeah, I
Um,
think this is if that's true, I think that's very smart. I mean, we said that for plenty of games that came out. They released. I think Titanfall was one of those games that just
Tomb
came out at the
Raider,
wrong. Yeah,
Rise
Tomb
of the Tomb
Raider,
Raider,
Rise of the Tomb Raider. What game did that come out on the same day? And
Fallout
we are
4.
just.
Yeah, I dude, it was like everybody called it. Like nobody like yeah. And yeah, Titanfall was the other one where EA killed their own game by releasing a Battlefield right on top of it. Like it's
Yeah.
fucking
So
wild shit. Um Square Enix has been like strangling all their fucking RPGs the last couple of years because they release like 1885 fucking games a year, the last few years.
yeah,
So they've been strangling all their JRPGs too. Yeah, it's like, so no, I mean, if this is the real reason, that's great. Put your game in the best slot, right? Nintendo actually does this all the time, where they'll hold on. Like from what we understand is like they hold on to their games until they have a window where it makes the most sense for it to be,
yeah,
in the year. So no, I think it makes sense. It's probably unfortunate for people looking forward to Avowed, but um, I'm sure Obsidian's going to use that time to make the game better, though. as well. So, so I think it is a bonus in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. I hope more games actually do this in the future. To be honest with you.
Yeah, right. And I think from the developer standpoint, yeah, just getting a few extra months, no matter what, is a positive, right? So yeah, that's good, man. All right, Montrell, that's all we had for news this week, and that's all we had for the show. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we head out today?
Nope. I don't know. I think this was a good episode. The Assassin's Creed one was on my mind. I was debating if I even wanted to bring it up, but you brought it up. So
Yeah, I debated about it too, but ultimately felt like it was a good topic. So,
yeah.
all right, everybody, if you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please subscribe to us on YouTube. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. That'll be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.